video day, guys. So for today's video, I actually asked you guys on Instagram. I also asked you guys on my community tab, what did you guys want to see when it came to the Tati Beauty Textured Neutrals Volume 1 palette? I think a lot of you guys already know the drama that's been happening with this palette and me recently. Basically, my palette is lost in the mail. When I do my full review on the palette and kind of show you guys different looks and stuff, I'll get more into that, and depending on what customer service ends up doing. But yeah, my palette is lost. This is my mother's palette. She actually got it yesterday and gave it to me. I ordered mine expedited shipping. It was supposed to arrive last Thursday and never came. So I asked my mom if I could please borrow hers whenever it arrived, even though I know it's kind of late now. There's so many reviews up, but either way, I got it now. I'm gonna be doing a different review on this. I'm gonna do 4 looks with it. I'm gonna do wear tests with it. I'm gonna be putting this guy through the ringer because I believe that she's going to be coming out with a lot more volumes, and they're probably all gonna be different color tones with a very similar formula. Probably. So if I put this one to the ringer, most likely we'll kind of get an idea of the formula for the future ones that release. So look out for that video. I'm going to be wearing this palette probably for the next 4 days. For this video, I asked you guys if you guys wanted me to do a follow-up on my Make Up Your Mind series. If you guys haven't seen that series, basically, it's a new series that I created for my channel, which what I do is when a brand new palette releases, I don't jump on just buying it like straight off the bat. What I'll do is I'll come to my collection and see if I have similar eyeshadow palettes that have similar colors, and to see if the color story in that particular eyeshadow palette is so unique that I really need it. And it's a mindset kind of video for us to do together, not for you to have the same exact shadow palettes that I have, is to think of your eyeshadow palettes more as colors so that we can get familiar with our eyeshadow palettes and also know if we need to add more and more. So if you guys haven't seen that series, I'm gonna link it down below, and it would be cool if you guys wanted to watch the Tati Beauty one before you see this video, because I'm gonna be going over my thoughts that I had on this palette, and spoiler alert, in the video I decided that the palette was unique enough for me to pick up. That means that when I was looking through my collection, it wasn't like I was able to find so many colors that I thought were so spot on. So I said, yes, I want to buy it. So now that I have it sitting right in front of me, what I want to do is I want to compare my thoughts on the swatches and also the items that I saw that were similar. You can make a decision off of swatches. You can make an educated guess for yourself whether you want to purchase something online without actually seeing it in person, without having to spend the money, without having to do the swatches, without having people to tell you that they have the best formula in the entire universe and it's the formula. It's up to you to decide that, and it's up to you to look in your collection and see how many formulas you love and see if you even need that amazing formula in a brown. It's kind of like what happened to me with this palette. If you guys watch that video, you will see that I did not think that the mattes in this palette were unique. I actually thought the mattes in this palette were something that we have seen before and that I probably could find very easily in my collection. The sequin row was something that I told you guys I thought was pretty damn unique. I also thought that some of the metallics were pretty unique in their undertones, not their formula. And I also thought that the glitters were unique as well, just because for me personally, I'm not somebody who owns like a lot of glitter. So I am gonna show you guys a little surprise in the end that I think you guys will be shocked with. I think you guys might think like, wow, really? I cross my fingers that you guys think that, because honestly, I think that. Like right now I'm looking and I'm like, I think that. But let me not give it away because I'm going to tell you guys at the end of the video. If you guys are new here, hello, let me introduce myself. I'm Christina Brooke, and I would love it if you would take a second to hit the subscribe button to join my Glam Ranch family. And let's go ahead and let's get into it right now. Longest intro in the world. I have a lot to say sometimes with this series though, because sometimes I think that people don't understand it, and sometimes I get people saying like, hey, but that's not a dupe, and I'm like, it's not supposed to be a dupe. This is not a dupes video. I believe that I thought that the Poet shade was one of the most similar shades to stuff that I already own, and I have to tell you guys, I think that that is pretty spot on. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys the Poet shade in matte. So if you guys see the matte shade in Poet, I did say that I thought that this was going to be a spot on almost match to the Anastasia Beverly Hills Venetian red shade. If you guys can see in the swatches side by side, they really are. They are very similar. I would say the Tati one, when blended out, maybe gets a little bit pinker, but they're very similar. Like, I literally would say that I own this shade. So I do think that I was pretty right with what I thought through the swatches. If we jump over, we said we didn't have the sequin shade, so we're gonna jump over that color. For the metallics, I did say that I believed that the Tati shade was a little bit darker than the color that I was able to find in the new Nude, which was Fantasy, and that is actually pretty spot on true. Now, I will tell you guys, after swatching and playing with this color, I do think on the lids, these are gonna look very, very, very similar. They already look very similar in the swatch. The Tati one is a little bit lighter, but it's not like such a different shade. Like, it really isn't. So I actually think the color was a little closer than I even thought it was going to be. Now, the shade itself in the glitter, I do believe it is a little bit different. Now, this one is one that I do think that the color in the Tati palette is a little bit different than the color in the new Nude. I thought that they were gonna be more similar, more spot on, but I do think that the Tati palette has a different undertone. But I will tell you guys, I don't want to give it away, but I will tell you, when applied, they kind of shine very similar, and you really, I mean, like, I would honestly say, like, if I looked at them, I would not say like, wow, that color is better than that color. I would kind of not know the difference. For the Poet, I will say that I was pretty spot on, except for maybe the glitter. The glitter, I do think I was a little off with the color tone. So let's move on to Aura. So this is one that I honestly think was spot on, guys. Like, this is what I'm trying to tell you, is like, when you look at swatches, you have to just make sure that you're looking at swatches in good lighting, and you can kind of tell that in a photograph. And swatches, you can see a lot of the color, you really can. And especially nowadays, like, I can see if you guys said like years ago that swatches are so off because cameras didn't have such good quality, but nowadays our cameras have such good quality, and I really feel like a lot of times you can see real swatches. You have to be careful when they're photoshopped on. Those are the times that you might see them off, but when somebody actually does physical swatches, they're pretty spot on. So for the Aura matte shade, I did say that the Tati Beauty one was more golden, and I did say that the 2008 one I thought was a little bit more cream, but that I didn't know if that was going to make a huge difference on the lid. Here's the swatches. I will say that I do think that I still agree with what I said. I think that those colors are exactly what I was saying. The Tati Beauty one goes a little bit more like a golden pinky color, and the one from KKW Beauty goes a little bit more cream. But blended out, guys, this color is so similar. Like, it really is. I really still don't think that you're going to tell a huge difference on the lid. The KKW Beauty may have a little more tone to it, but I still think that they were pretty, like, they're gonna do almost the same look. So then, of course, I didn't have the sequin and I didn't have the glitter for this, but I did find in the KKW Beauty, I said that Decade, the color Decade, was going to be the most similar color that I could find. But in this one, I definitely said I think that the Tati Beauty one is going to look different. It was the closest color that I could find, but I didn't think that they were going to be super similar, and I agree with that. I do think that they look similar, but the one in the Tati Beauty goes a little bit more golden, and the one in the KKW Beauty goes a little bit more white base. So this color, I was kind of right. I didn't really have a color super similar to this one in my collection. So I did look through my collection a little bit more to see if I found a similar tone. There is a few palettes that have like similar colors to this, but I am still going to stand by. I think that this color is a little bit more unique to my collection. I didn't find too many that had like that pinky, peachy kind of undertone that I think this one did have. So I do like this color, and I knew it wasn't going to be the same as the KKW Beauty. That is what made me start wanting to actually purchase this palette, is I started to notice some of the undertones weren't matching to some of my other palettes. So let's move on to Soothe. This one was one that I really think is super similar. And if you guys see the swatch right now, Miami and KKW Beauty and this Soothe shade are identical. Like, basically swatched identical. They look exactly the same. Like, these colors, like, there's no way. You're not gonna be able to tell the difference. These are the same color. And then, I think that I was able to see that pretty clearly from the swatch. So then this one, I also said that I couldn't find a good metallic shade to match, and I still feel that way. I still feel that way. The one in this Tati palette is unique to my collection, and the only color I was able to show you guys that I thought was somewhat similar was Primavera in ABH, but I still thought that the colors were not super similar, and that's still super true. This is another very unique shade. I thought it was going to be. I still believe it is. As I was looking through my collection, I don't see that many shades like this. This has like a more orangey, I want to say orangey taupe-ish undertone to it that's really pretty, and I don't have that many of this type of metallic, so I do still really like this one. Let's move on to Story. I really thought that the Story matte was going to look super similar to my Urban Decay Baja shade, and having those two colors side by side swatched together, it is very similar of a shade. The Tati Beauty one is a tad darker. It's not going to be noticeable. Like, it's not. Trust me, it's not noticeable. So this shade is very similar. I thought it was going to be, and I believe it really is. So for the metallic, I told you guys, I don't know if I can find a metallic that's similar to this, and I told you guys Ignite was the closest I could find that had like this orangey undertone, but I couldn't find anything that was super similar. And if you guys can see swatch, it is a lot more orangey undertoned, and it is not the same color. Another color that I truly believe is more unique in this Tati palette to my collection is this color. I do think it's still a unique color. I was looking through some other palettes, couldn't really find too many that had like this type of shift to it, and I really like this one. So, and now let's move on to Ritual. So I did think that the Ritual color was going to be similar to the KKW Beauty color. So now having the Ritual color in person, it is a tad bit more orange based than the one that's in the KKW Beauty. KKW Beauty is a little bit more gray based, but I did use both of these and they do look very similar. There's a tad difference, but they are similar. I do think that it is a more unique shade than I thought it was going to be, but it wouldn't be a shade that would make me buy a palette. So if we move on to the Ritual kind of like metallic-y shade, I do think that these are gonna look a little bit more different on the lid than I thought that they would look. But to be honest, I almost feel like Tati should have made hers a little darker so that it would have been a little bit more different from the other tones that she had in here. But now we're gonna go into Memory, which is the last tone in here. So this one, I said that I thought the blacks are gonna be exactly the same. The blacks are exactly the same. If you guys can see, yes, Tati said her black was like the blackest black, but the Urban Decay Born to Run has a really good black in it too, and I have a few other palettes that have really good blacks. This is a black, it's black. And for the rest of the colors, I said I didn't have anything similar, and I don't have anything very similar to these. When I was thinking of whether to purchase this palette or not, one of the things that made me decide to buy it was that I didn't believe I had anything like the glitter formula. And that's still true. I also thought that I didn't have anything like the sequin formula. That is still true. I did say that I thought that I had a lot of the mattes, and that is true. A lot of these mattes, I have very similar tones. The only one that I might have been a little off with was Ritual, but on the lid, it's not gonna be that big of a difference, to be honest. And finally, for the metallics, I did say that I thought that I might have some similar metallics to these, but I thought that her undertones in some of these metallics were unique to my collection, even to the colors that I found, and I find that to be very true as well. So overall, guys, when I made up my mind and told you guys I'm gonna buy this palette, I think it's unique enough, I kind of stand by that. I totally am happy. I think that this was a good purchase for me personally because more than half of the palette I don't own. So that made me really happy, and to see that the deciding process actually kind of worked for me actually made me really happy too. So now when it comes to formula and blendability and all that stuff, we're gonna get into that with the review. But when it comes to color story and whether I thought it was unique enough for my collection, I definitely think that it is. So the surprise that I was gonna share with you guys is my eye look was not created using only Tati Beauty. Tati Beauty was only used to create this side of my face. So the left side of my face is Tati Beauty. On the right side, I'm actually using all of the colors that I just mentioned to you guys before that I thought were super similar or completely alike to the Tati Beauty palette. From the KKW Beauty Mario palette, from the Urban Decay Born to Run, from the Huda Beauty Nude, and finally from the ABH Modern Renaissance. And that's how I created this look right here. Both of my eyes were created using different palettes. Just want to kind of show you guys that on the lids, sometimes these things will look exactly the same. So even if the color is tad tad bit off. You gotta remember that these shades are blending with other shades and colors may look almost identical when placed on the lid. So I'm just gonna zoom you guys in so you guys can see this. Now the only difference was the glitter, like I tried to mention to you guys before. The glitter inside of the Tati Beauty one has a little bit of a different tone to the one in the Nude, but I bet you guys didn't notice too much on the lids because on the lids you can't tell that much. So either way, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. The next time that I think that a palette is worth buying and I do one of my Make Up Your Minds, would you guys like me to continue to follow up with you guys and tell you guys whether I think it worked out for me or not? Let me know down below if you guys like this style of video and this type of follow-up series, and I'll continue to do it every time I decide to buy something. Because if I say I'm not buying it, I'm not going to just buy it, because that's not the point of our mindset. Our mindset is not to buy things that we don't need or that we already own. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.